I got robbed.
Yeah, I'm finna take these stupid out of me.
Even the FBI involved to investigate for that case. FBI came personally and talked to me. They say this is a very big group.
Kodak Black has the streets buzzing crazy after reports hit that he went off inside Johnny Dang's store over claims about fake jewelry. This situation didn't just pop up overnight either. It's been building tension for a minute, but nobody expected it to explode like this. Now there's footage floating around everywhere. Both sides talking, voices getting louder, and the pressure going up by the second. So how did things even reach this level? It's deeper than it looks. Let's get into it. The Kodak and Johnny connection runs way back. Johnny Dang isn't just some random jeweler, he's the jeweler. When you start naming the biggest chains, the wildest grills, the flashiest custom pieces ever seen shining on rappers, his name keeps popping up again and again, sitting right at the top every time. His shop, Johnny Dang and Company, isn't just a store, it's the spot. If you've got serious money and something to prove, that's where you go. For over 25 years, he's been delivering pieces at a level most people in the game can't even touch. That kind of reputation doesn't come easy, and it definitely doesn't come without pressure. And that's exactly why the situation is turning so many heads right now. The rap world didn't just appear out of nowhere. It was built step by step, year after year, through real grind and pressure. That same grind turned a Vietnamese immigrant who landed in Houston with nothing into the undisputed king of hip-hop jewelry in America. His client list isn't regular either. It reads like a full lineup of rap royalty. We're talking names seen in music videos, on red carpets, splashed across magazine covers, and right in the middle of some of the most viral rap moments the internet has ever witnessed. He didn't land at the top by luck. He got there because the product was solid, the craftsmanship stayed sharp, and the relationships he built went way deeper than just buying and selling. This wasn't quick business. This was trust built over time. Kodak Black is one of those clients, and their history goes back years. This isn't a random link-up. It's a connection that's created some seriously unforgettable pieces. One of the craziest moments came during the COVID era. Johnny Dang made Kodak a custom diamond mask. Not fabric, not medical, but a mask fully covered in over 30 carats of VVS diamonds. That piece had people talking everywhere. Johnny Dang even spoke on how it all came together, breaking it down step by step.
Did you know I make $30,000 diamonds COVID mask for Kodak Black? When Kodak Black just got out of jail, he called me for the grill right at the COVID time.
And then explaining exactly where the idea really started. That right there shows the level of access, trust, and pure creative energy that defined how Kodak and Johnny Dang really moved together. This wasn't just business. This was a real connection built on years of work. And that COVID mask, that was only the start. They kept linking up again and again, with Kodak sliding through Johnny Dang's spot for more custom pieces every time. Then late 2024 hit, and Kodak dropped serious money on a $50,000 permanent multicolored diamond grill from Dang. This piece wasn't basic at all. It was loud, detailed, and over the top in every way. The second it touched the internet, people couldn't stop talking about it. But here's where things took a turn. On Instagram Live, Kodak actually pulled the grill out. Not because he felt scammed, not because he thought someone played him, and not out of anger. He said it himself. It was just too big, too flashy, too extra for the vibe he was on at that moment. It wasn't about the quality, it was about the energy he wanted to carry. He basically said it straight. He wanted to switch it up and go simpler, clean, solid gold slugs. He even laughed about it, still calling Johnny Dang the king of bling, and kept it moving like it was nothing serious. Then May 2025 came around, and Johnny Dang personally flew out to Miami to link with Kodak again. He pulled up with a fresh custom set, what people started calling the Skittles grills, multicolored gemstones, detailed design, bright and impossible to ignore. Complex even stamped it as one of the best jewelry moments of that entire month. They linked, talked, laughed, and the whole moment got captured and pushed out to the culture. Everything looked solid, smooth, and exactly how it had always been between them. That's where things stood going into 2026. No tension, no accusations, no quiet issues building up. Just one of the longest running rapper and jeweler relationships in hip-hop, moving the same way it always had. And then everything shifted when Sauce Walker started talking. Now the footage of Kodak and Johnny Dang together inside the shop says a lot by itself. When Kodak stepped in, the energy didn't look tense, it felt relaxed, almost celebratory. You could see that natural confidence between them, the kind that only comes from years of doing business and building real trust. Kodak was talking about events, speaking on the community, and breaking down the pieces he had coming next. At one point, him and Johnny even went back and forth about diamonds. The kind of conversation only people who've spent serious money together can really have. And then, just a moment later, everything in that footage hits different. You've got two men laughing, talking about GI as certified diamonds, joking about honeymoons, and reacting to how crazy money looks shining off somebody's teeth. That kind of energy tells you everything you need to know about what Kodak Black and Johnny Dang really were to each other. This wasn't two people secretly beefing behind the scenes. This wasn't some tense client and vendor situation waiting to explode. Nah, this was a real collaboration. Over the years, they built genuine respect and real connection through serious business at the highest level of the game. That's the foundation of this whole story. And that's exactly why what happened in 2026 feels so wild, because it's completely disconnected from everything that relationship was built on. Then, out of nowhere, Sauce Walker steps in and changes the tone completely. To understand why the internet went crazy the way it did in spring 2026, you have to go back to March 17th. You also have to understand who Sauce Walker is in Houston, what he represents, and why when he speaks, people actually listen. Because his words didn't just make noise, they shook the foundation of a 25-year empire in a matter of days. Sauce Walker being from Houston isn't just a small detail. It actually matters a lot in this situation. Houston moves by its own rules, its own culture, its own code when it comes to loyalty, money, and how you treat people who knew you before the fame ever showed up. And in that world, Johnny Dang wasn't just some jeweler with a shop in the city. He was a full Houston institution. The jeweler tied directly to the culture, the sound, and the history of Houston rap. That relationship between Johnny Dang and the Houston scene was supposed to be solid, untouchable. Built on over 20 years of business, serious money flowing through, and loyalty that, in Sauce Walker's eyes, was supposed to go both ways. Then March 17th, 2026 hit, and everything flipped. Sauce Walker jumped on Instagram Live and completely shook things up. He didn't hint, he didn't hold back. He straight up announced he was cutting off a 20-year relationship with Johnny Dang, and he didn't leave people guessing either. He broke down his reasons, piece by piece, with details that instantly had everybody locked in. According to Sauce Walker, Johnny Dang's team had been selling lab-grown CVD diamonds, stones made in labs in a short time, while charging top-tier prices. Prices people would expect to pay for natural VS diamonds. The real stones, the kind that justify those massive price tags. The way he explained it made it sound serious, like clients believed they were getting one thing, while allegedly receiving something completely different. And once that claim hit the internet, it spread fast and had people questioning everything. Lab-grown diamonds aren't some small technical detail when you're operating at Sauce Walker's level. That difference actually means everything. Natural diamonds take billions of years to form under pressure deep inside the earth. Lab-grown diamonds, even though they look the same on a molecular level, are created in controlled environments in just weeks. And the price gap between those two, it's huge. So the idea of selling one while charging for the other, if true, isn't just questionable. That crosses into serious fraud territory. Sauce Walker didn't stop there either. He kept going and added more rope, saying Johnny Dang's operation was playing favorites. According to him, out-of-town celebrities were getting free or heavily discounted pieces just for promo. Jewelry they would wear in public to boost visibility. Meanwhile, he claimed local clients, the ones who had been loyal for years and spent serious money, were getting treated like they came second. In Sauce Walker's version of events, the loyalty only went one way. He even pointed out that he had spent over $500,000 with Johnny Dang over time. That's not small money. That's a serious investment into a relationship. But according to him, when it came to what he actually wanted, things weren't lining up.
I got the idea, right? Hey, Kodak, let me make you the very first diamond mask. It's over 30 karat diamond, all VVS, thousands of diamonds.
He was aiming for the biggest, most over-the-top grill design possible, something that would completely stand out. And he felt like Johnny Dang's team kept falling short of that vision. He said it straight up. Johnny don't want have. Did nothing better than what I got in my mind. I want some of my money and I want to go over the top. At that point, he was done. And he didn't leave quietly either. He turned the whole exit into a public moment. Sauce Walker took his business to another jeweler known as The Plug. He commissioned a new grill, reportedly worth over $1 million, making a huge statement in the process. And to really drive it home, he pulled out his old Johnny Dang pieces on camera. That move wasn't random. It was calculated, dramatic, and designed to hit exactly how it did. And it didn't stop there. Not even close. The plug stepped in and added his voice to the situation, backing up the allegations. He claimed that marking up lab-grown stones and presenting them like top-tier pieces wasn't just a one-off mistake, but something happening across the operation. At that point, the internet didn't need anything else to go wild. The idea that one of the most legendary jewelers in hip-hop history could be slipping questionable diamonds to loyal clients hit the culture like a grenade. Comment sections exploded. Group chats lit up non-stop. Even YouTube channels that never talked about jewelry suddenly jumped in, pushing out reaction videos and breakdowns. People started questioning everything. What does this mean for Johnny Dang's reported $200 million empire? What about all the celebrity clients he's worked with over the years? His reputation? His legacy? It all started moving fast. Way faster than the original claims alone could have ever caused. Because what Sauce Walker really did was crack the door open. And once that door opened, the internet didn't just step in, it rushed in and started building a whole new narrative on the other side. A narrative that quickly drifted away from what was actually said. That's how it goes online. In the days after Sauce Walker's accusations, social media got flooded, with videos making claims that went way beyond his original statements. TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, every platform had people running with their own version of the story. And with every repost, every reaction, every hot take, the situation kept getting bigger and louder. And then it got even crazier. Each new video pushed things further than the last, turning the story into something way bigger than it started. Suddenly, clips were claiming Johnny Dang's Houston store got raided by authorities. Others said multiple rappers had filed fraud complaints. Some even went as far as saying he had been arrested, booked, and was under federal investigation. The headlines were crafted to feel urgent, believable, and straight up catastrophic. The kind of wording designed to hit your emotions first and skip right past logic. And that's exactly how Kodak Black got pulled into all of this. Once that raid narrative started spreading, older footage of Kodak and Johnny Dang got dragged out and flipped into something it was never meant to be. That Instagram live clip from late 2024, the one where Kodak took out his $50,000 grill, suddenly got a whole new story attached to it. In reality, he was laughing, saying it was too flashy, too big, and that he wanted to switch to simpler gold. That was it. But in 2026, that same clip got chopped up, reposted, and dropped into these viral videos like it was proof of something else entirely. And here's the wild part. If you actually listen closely to some of those videos, they quietly admit the truth while still pushing the bigger narrative. One of them straight up says it. Kodak never said the grill was fake. But that line gets buried under dramatic music, bold claims, and heavy storytelling. So most people never even catch it. They just run with the headline and keep scrolling. Not once did Kodak say anything about being scammed. Not a single accusation toward Johnny Dang ever came out of his mouth, and it goes even further than that. In all of 2026, Kodak stayed completely silent on the situation. No posts, no pull-ups, no confrontations, no accusations, nothing at all. So trying to tie Kodak Black into Sauce Walker's controversy in any real way just doesn't hold up. The only connection is that both of them at different times spent money with the same jeweler. That's it. But the internet didn't slow down for facts. The machine kept moving at full speed. It took Sauce Walker's real complaints, turned them into a full-blown global fraud narrative, and then dragged in unrelated Kodak footage to build a whole vandalism storyline that never actually happened. Meanwhile, the man at the center of it all, Johnny Dang, had his name getting hit from every direction. Headline after headline, story after story, all stacking up, while his reputation and legacy were being questioned in real time. And through all of that, he still hadn't said a word. Because Johnny Dang doesn't move off impulse. This is someone who built a reported $200 million empire from the ground up. Someone who spent over 25 years navigating money, relationships, egos, and pressure inside the hip-hop world without burning major bridges. That kind of person doesn't jump online in the heat of the moment. He doesn't go live just to vent emoji or say something he might regret later. He waits, he thinks, he moves with intention, and when he finally speaks, it's calculated, because he knows exactly how much weight his words carry. Then on April 1st, 2026, he finally broke his silence. Johnny Dang dropped an official response video across TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. And it didn't stay contained either. Local outlets, including Fox 26 Houston, picked it up and pushed it even further. The video wasn't chaotic at all. It didn't come off like panic or guilt. Instead, it was calm, structured, and straight to the point. The kind of response you only get from someone who knows exactly what's going on behind the scenes. Johnny Dang addressed the raid rumors first, and he didn't soften it one bit. He called everything spreading online exactly what he believed it was. Fake, AI-enhanced stories flooding social media. Claims about fraud, police raids, all of it. Then he went even deeper. He broke it down and said these weren't just random misunderstandings. He described them as intricately planted lies. That's a strong statement, and he made sure it landed. He didn't call out specific individuals, but he did point to the types of people he believed were behind it, saying it came from haters. At the same time, he made it clear that a lot of people pushing these stories either didn't check the facts or chose to ignore them completely. And according to him, this wasn't new. This wasn't the first time someone tried to tear down what he built over 25 years in the hip-hop jewelry game. There had been rumors before, accusations before, moments that came and went without actually damaging the foundation he spent decades putting together. Because his business, as he framed it, wasn't built on hype. It was built on real work, real clients, and real relationships. People who saw the pieces up close, knew what they were buying, and kept coming back again and again. That kind of base doesn't collapse easily. And then there was the legal angle. His attorney even brought up the possibility of defamation action against the people pushing the most extreme and damaging claims. That part made it clear this wasn't just internet talk anymore. It could turn into something much more serious. Then he said something that really stood out. Not loud, not aggressive, but it hit in a completely different way. He talked about seeing customers who still believed the fake stories even after everything was explained. And the way he reacted said more than any long speech ever could. There was no anger, no yelling, just quiet disbelief. The kind you get from someone who has spent their whole life putting in real work only to watch people believe something strangers online just made up. Think about that for a second. People choosing viral posts over 25 years of documented history, real business, and verified work. That moment showed exactly where his head was at. And what's just as important is what he didn't do. He didn't admit to any fraud. He didn't point to specific issues with any individual client. The only thing he mentioned was general competition trying to undermine what he built. He also never said Sauce Walker's name, not once. He didn't drag that situation back into the spotlight or try to argue details publicly. Instead, he kept it clean. His attorney handled the legal side, while he focused on public perception. And both approaches matched perfectly. Calm, steady, and based on the strength of 25+ years of real work. No emotional outbursts, no messy back and forth, just controlled responses. And there's another detail people forget. His Galleria store had already been through a robbery before, which was one of the reasons he moved locations in the first place. That context matters, especially with all the wild stories people were trying to push. He had already spoken about that robbery too, and the way he described it was detailed. He broke down how organized the group was, how precise everything seemed, and how serious the situation really got. He even mentioned that the FBI stepped in personally to investigate. And because of how big the case was, investigators kept things quiet while they tracked the people involved. That alone shows the level of what he had already dealt with before any of this online drama even started. So now the real question is, what's actually true here, and what's just noise? Because this situation doesn't have court filings, no official fraud charges, no confirmed police reports backing the viral claims. So the only way to look at it properly is to compare what the internet is shouting versus what the actual evidence shows. And when you line those two up, things start looking very different. Here's what we actually know. Kodak Black has been a real long-time client of Johnny Dang. This isn't new. Their relationship goes back years, with multiple collaborations that created some of the most talked about custom pieces in recent hip-hop history. We know that in late 2024, Kodak went on Instagram Live and removed a grill. And when he did, he wasn't mad. He laughed, said it was too flashy, and made it clear he wanted something simpler. No accusations, no claims of anything fake. And he still called Johnny Dang the king of bling. We also know that in May 2025, Johnny Dang flew out to Miami himself to deliver the Skittles grills. That moment got positive coverage, and the culture celebrated it with zero drama attached. And then in 2026, when Sauce Walker's claims and all those wild rage stories started spreading everywhere, Kodak Black said absolutely nothing. No posts, no reactions, no statements, complete silence. Kodak didn't say a word. No complaints filed, no public shots, no pulling up to any store, no confrontations, nothing. His name got pulled into this whole situation by content creators who took unrelated footage, added misleading narration, and built clickbait titles around a moment that never even happened. That so-called vandalism story, it didn't come from real life. It came from something put together piece by piece. Real clips, real relationships, real history, all twisted into something completely different. And this isn't just about Johnny Dang or Kodak Black. But the way it played out here really shows how far things can go when the wrong people get access to powerful tools. Because let's separate it clearly. Sauce Walker's original accusations, those were real. His frustration was real. The money he spent was real. And whatever he felt, that sense of being let down, that was real to him when he spoke on it. But everything that came after that is where things got out of control. The raid stories, the arrest claims, the federal investigation talk, the Kodak vandalism angle, none of that was confirmed. Reports say those narratives were constructed and pushed until they felt real. That's the difference people have to catch. Sauce Walker's situation is its own story, one that's still playing out. It could unfold through business decisions, possible legal steps, or just how the culture ends up interpreting everything over time. That part is ongoing and it deserves real attention, because accusations at that level, especially involving diamonds, money, and trust, are serious. They deserve proper reporting, real investigation, and actual proof if it ever gets there. But mixing that with fake raids, fake arrests, and dragging in people who never even spoke on it, that's where everything gets distorted. And once it reaches that point, the line between reality and narrative gets real blurry, real fast. But that whole story about Kodak Black vandalizing Johnny Dang's store over fake jewelry, there's nothing backing it up. No footage, no police reports, no statements, nothing that shows that situation ever happened in any way. What actually exists is something completely different. A 25-plus year relationship between a jeweler and one of his most high-profile clients. And based on the most recent real interactions we've seen, that relationship was still solid, collaborative, positive, even celebratory. These are two people who helped elevate each other through real business, real moments, real pieces, real history, and there hasn't been any clear sign that anything between them suddenly fell apart. But the internet took Sauce Walker's accusations and built a whole new story on top of it. And Kodak Black's name got inserted into that story for one simple reason. It carries weight. And when you combine a recognizable name with old footage, cut it a certain way, and throw a dramatic title on it, it can easily look like something current, something serious, something explosive, even when it's not. The truth is way less dramatic, quieter, less flashy, and honestly, more inconvenient for the people pushing those viral narratives. Because while all that noise was spreading, Johnny Dang was still standing. His business still running, his operation still active, and everything moving forward despite all the chaos online. Johnny Dang's legal team is already moving on the most extreme. False claims. And Kodak Black, the same name people tried to place at the center of a made-up vandalism story, still hasn't said a single word about any of it. No response, no denial, no engagement, just silence. So that raises the real question. Why is this narrative spreading so fast? And is the relationship between Kodak Black and Johnny Dang actually still as solid as it looks from the outside? Because when you really break it down, the facts in the viral stories are telling two completely different versions of reality. Now I want to hear from you. Drop your thoughts in the comments. What do you think is really going on here? And if you want more breakdowns like this, make sure you like, subscribe, share this video, and stay locked in. Happened in any way. What actually exists is something completely different. A 25-plus year relationship between a jeweler and one of his most high-profile clients. And based on the most recent real interactions we've seen, that relationship was still solid, collaborative, positive, even celebratory. These are two people who helped elevate each other through real business, real moments, real pieces, real history, and there hasn't been any clear sign that anything between them suddenly fell apart. But the internet took Sauce Walker's accusations and built a whole new story on top of it. And Kodak Black's name got inserted into that story for one simple reason. It carries weight. And when you combine a recognizable name with old footage, cut it a certain way, and throw a dramatic title on it, it can easily look like something current, something serious, something explosive, even when it's not. The truth is way less dramatic, quieter, less flashy, and honestly, more inconvenient for the people pushing those viral narratives. Because while all that noise was spreading, Johnny Dang was still standing. His business still running, his operation still active, and everything moving forward despite all the chaos online. Johnny Dang's legal team is already moving on the most extreme. False claims. And Kodak Black, the same name people tried to place at the center of a made-up vandalism story, still hasn't said a single word about any of it. No response, no denial, no engagement, just silence. So that raises the real question. Why is this narrative spreading so fast? And is the relationship between Kodak Black and Johnny Dang actually still as solid as it looks from the outside? Because when you really break it down, the facts in the viral stories are telling two completely different versions of reality. Now I want to hear from you. Drop your thoughts in the comments. What do you think is really going on here? And if you want more breakdowns like this, make sure you like, subscribe, share this video, and stay locked in.